vomit. What? Yes, face plant straight into vomit. Look up and there's a girl looking at me and she's like, I'm sorry. God's like, I'm not. Maybe he wasn't. But that is a more immediate example of like reaping what you sow. You usually have to like wait a period. God was like, nah, I'm gonna hit you with this one right now because that was sassy, right? So the connection was totally not lost on me. I sassed to you, I end up with throw up in my face. Like, okay. So the important truth in that incident that I really like is like, you see that I mouthed off to my grandma, and I didn't get her mouthing off back at me. I got me throwing up in barf, or me falling in barf. So it looked a little bit different, and the point in here that I want to make is, when you sow apple seeds, when you plant apple seeds, you don't get apple seeds out. You do, but as part of a full-blown mature apple. So you sow in your sassy remark to your grandma, and you get a whole apple out. You get throw up on your face and on your clean clothes that were in your hand. Like, that's what happens. And it's not fun. But if you sow an encouragement in someone's life, then you're gonna reap, maybe they stepped out and did something for God that ended up having all of this righteousness that came out of it. And that's because you sowed the seeds and then God made the apple. Okay, so tonight we're going to just agree that, as always, the Bible's right. We do, in fact, reap what we sow. If we're honest with ourselves, we can look around and find an incident in our lives that's maybe similar to my grandma incident. And so now that we have owned that the principle is true, which I have to tell you is the easy part, it gets a little bit more difficult. Now we have to really respond. And the second thing that we have to do is we have to choose. We have to choose where we're going to sow. So in Galatians 6:8 it says, "The one who sows to please his sinful nature, from that nature will reap destruction. The one who sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life." So, you're currently sowing in one of two places, no other options, flesh or spirit. Paul didn't put any other possibilities in there. You're pleasing something, and it's one of two things. So if you're not sure where you've been sowing, look around at what you're pleasing and what you're reaping. Okay? What you're pleasing and what you're reaping. In Galatians 5, it just highlights a few of the signs of the sinful nature. So we're just going to really get in and try and just see for ourselves. We're going to identify internally where it is we're sowing. So Galatians 5:19 through 21 says, "The acts of the sinful nature are obvious." Obvious, just saying, no excuses. You're going to know what they are. Okay. "The acts of the sinful nature are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, debauchery, idolatry, and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like." That "and the like," it's a catch-all. If you didn't see yours in there, it counts. That's what "and the like" means. Now, debauchery, that's a fun one. And by fun, I mean not so much fun. I didn't know what that word meant until I looked it up, and that word means high school. Debauchery is excessive indulgence in sensual pleasures. And I know we have a spanning audience here, but that to me is the pinnacle of pleasing your flesh. And that just means that you're in search of a feeling, and you're getting it somewhere that's not God. That's what that is. That's what debauchery is. Now that usually means like in a kind of sexual immorality genre, but that's just one we really have to look out for. If you have a feeling that you are searching to be satisfied, and you're getting it somewhere that's maybe embarrassing to talk about to your mom or your pastor or whatever, that's debauchery. So, pleasing the sinful nature looks like that. Pleasing the sinful nature looks like letting your rage out in a fit. I'm not going to lie, struggle with anger sometimes, okay? That one hits me in my face. So, pleasing the sinful nature looks like selfish ambition. It looks like not caring what it takes for you to get ahead in class, in wherever. That may even be selfish ambition. Could mean that you put getting the good grades that you want to get in school ahead of helping your mom around the house. Done that one? Because where you want to get is more important than where she needs to get. And so she can just pick up the slack because you need to get that grade. Dissensions and factions, that just means you're causing fighting in between people. You're not bringing unity. That's also another one that's really common in high school and even junior high, is that you're causing that kind of drama. That's what that is. Envy, we all struggle with it. Drunkenness, orgies, and the like. So if yours wasn't in there and it's in your mind, just know. God's like, yeah, that's the one. Alright? But, let's look at what pleasing the Spirit looks like. So, Galatians 5:22 and 23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." Now, this is the list you can read in front of your grandma, right? These are the good things. You don't want to read the other one in front of your grandma. It's embarrassing. That's because sin brings shame. Okay, that's another sermon. So, pleasing the Spirit looks like loving the unlovable. It looks like having joy when you shouldn't have joy. It looks like having peace. You shouldn't have peace. Now, all of these things, these are the fruit of the Spirit, so it's what you're reaping. But how you sow to them is pretty similar. Do you know what I'm saying? So, if you, in your own way, start loving the unlovable, that kid that sits in the back of class, and you say hi to him as you walk in, and that is a step up for you because you just always try to ignore him and not really get seen with him too much, and you say hi, God's going to use that seed that you planted in yourself of taking that step out for someone, and He's going to grow it, and you're going to have a fruit of more love. Right? Now, sowing to peace could mean someone comes up to you and they want to tell you about what Brianna did yesterday that I heard about, and you're like, I just don't want to hear it. You're sowing to peace. Patience. You're in your car and you want to go faster than that old lady who's in front of you, but you don't cut her off because she deserves to drive too. Okay, so that's patience. And it just goes down the line like that. Self-control. If you struggle with your words and you just let whatever you want come out of your mouth, if you can rein it in time after time, you just pick, oh, I really want to say that. I'm not going to this time. You're sowing to self-control. Okay, so the thing is, where we're sowing shows up, right? So if we're sowing to please our sinful nature, we'll see that our life gets filled with more and more of this sinful nature. As you start to take those steps towards seeking that feeling to be satisfied in a guy, watch, that guy's going to take up your whole life. All your life is going to be is this guy all the time because he's satisfying my feeling, you know? But if you sow to God and giving that time, God, and it can start with God. I have this feeling that I need to be filled. What do I do with it? That is already sowing to the Spirit. And then your life will become more and more consumed with